Welcome back to the Pistons Jack YouTube channel. On today's episode, we'll be reacting to ESPN's Bobby Marks saying the Pistons are still one big move away from true contention. I'll offer up my thoughts and opinions. We'll take a look at 3 players the Pistons could realistically trade for in the next 12 months. So let's get to it. Okay, so recently in the past week or so, Bobby Marks, ESPN's cap expert, former front office member for the Brooklyn Nets, was on Kevin O'Connor's weekly podcast over at Yahoo, and they were talking about teams that are a move or 2 away, and Bobby offered up this. He said, I do think they're 1 move away. They got all their picks now to go out and canvass the market. What I wanted to focus on today is, what is this big move? Are the Pistons actually 1 move away? And for the sake of a lot of the national media and a lot of the Pistons fan base saying they are. I've found 3 realistic trade candidates that I think the Pistons could trade for in the next 12 months, as well as some honorable mentions. But I just want to, off the top, I briefly what are some teams that have made this 1 move that has pushed them from fun playoff team to true contender? And the ones I could come up with, just to give you some examples, recently we had the most recent one, of course, is the Magic trading for Desmond Bane. Now, we do need to see if that actually leads them to true contention, but that's an all-in type move, and that is kind of the type of move that I think a lot of the fan base for Detroit wants to see the Pistons make. Now, Desmond Bane is an all-star, but he fills a massive void in that Magic roster. There's OKC, who their move or 2 they made was trading for Caruso and signing Isaiah Hartenstein last offseason. They obviously won the championship. Another one I thought of was the Nuggets trading for Aaron Gordon all the way back in, I think, 2021, I want to say, who filled a void for them. Those were trades that took those teams from that second round ceiling to, these are moves that have definitely pushed Denver to a championship, just pushed OKC to a championship. And the Magic, their intention is to get to the finals and the Eastern Conference Finals. So that's kind of some examples. Now, for me, what's the team's biggest need? What is Detroit's biggest need that this 1 move kind of needs to fill? And if you look at the playoffs, in my opinion, they need a secondary or primary scorer alongside Cade. Far too often, the Pistons relied on Cade to create everything, and he's definitely a guy that can play like that, and he wants to be that guy, but they need someone else who can come out and consistently on any given night score 20 to 25. And it can't just be against, the bottom half of the league. They need a guy that can come out against the Knicks, can come out against, one of the powerhouse Western Conference teams. And if Cade doesn't have it, if they're doubling him, they need a guy that can score 20 to 25 on a consistent basis against the best teams and as well as anyone in the NBA. Now, in my opinion, they don't need, right now, I'm happy they didn't rush to go get that guy, because I want to see if Jaden Ivey can be that guy. I think his ceiling shows he can be. He's yet to do it consistently, and I would like to see him and honestly Cade have their best games against some of the league's best teams. Now, I think Cade does that certainly in the East, but sometimes in the West, I think he's struggling against OKC, like a lot of players do. But Cade's Cade. We know he's definitely the number 1 guy. But Ivy, I want to see him, have a chance to fill that role. Because I think they need a secondary or primary scorer, right? So that doesn't mean they have to be your second best player. Your second best player, the Pistons' second best player might be Asar Thompson in terms of what he brings on both ends. But I think Ivy definitely has the most potential to be that secondary scorer. But let's just say, maybe Ivy doesn't reach that. I think, and I really want to see him have a chance to reach that this season. But these are the players, in my opinion, that realistically could be available in the next 12 months to 18 months max for the Pistons to trade for. Now, these are going to cost, this is where having all your picks is great, and because it's certainly going to take some picks and probably at least one of the 5 to 6 young core the Pistons have. So whether that's Ron, Ivy, Jalen Duren, and Asar, maybe. I think to get one of these guys, definitely to get 2 of these guys, you're going to have to include 1 or 2 of those players. But Larry Markin is the first name. And this is a guy who I know is I think in terms of the next all-star to be traded that we can kind of forecast, I think it's Larry Markin. The Jazz just drafted Ace Bailey, who I'm not saying is an exact like for like, but I think Ace Bailey long-term is a 3 or 4. He's a forward. The Jazz clearly are they were obviously rebuilding, and I know they have said in the offseason they're not looking to tank anymore, but they're still going to be bad next year. Larry Markin is 28 years old. So when you look at their timeline, he just doesn't really fit it. And that's with a lot of these guys. The way I canvass this for realistic possibility is looking at teams whose their age profile, looking at their best players, do they match with their timeline? Do they match with the direction of the team? And Larry just jumps out like as the number one guy who I think's up for trade. I think to get him, it's going to take you picks. I think that's what Danny Ainge is going to want. And he's definitely going to want, one of Asar, Ron, or Ivy, in my opinion. I think Jalen Duren might not be as enticing because of they have Walker Kessler, and I think him and JD, whilst they have different skill sets, I think JD's better, but I could see why the Jazz would be like, nah, let them keep the center. We want a wing to go alongside Ace. So that's the first name, and I know a lot of Pistons fans have spoken about him. Larry Markkinen still has 3 years, $150 million, so you're going to have to get that to that salary of around $50 million. Obviously, the Pistons for this season wouldn't have to include Tobias, and I think getting a scorer like Larry in the front court who can stretch the floor, do some stuff off the bounce, rebound, can be adequately defensively, I think, when locked in. He would fill a huge need and fill the 4 position we've spoken about so much for the future. That's the first name. The second name is another very popular one amongst the Pistons community, but it's Devin Booker. And I promise I'm just not trying to just pick the 2 most popular names we see, but Devin Booker, there's the Michigan ties. Obviously, I believe he's from Grand Rapids. Should have been a Piston all those years ago, but wasn't. But he just re-signed a huge extension. So he still has 3 years, $180 million. I think it's $55 million for the upcoming season, but $180 million owing across the next 3 years. He's 28 years old. Now, you might be like, well, Jackie just signed an extension. Why would he be available? And I just think with the Suns' future, unless someone they drafted or like in Malawatch absolutely pops and is this outlier star at pick 10, or Jalen Green just goes absolutely nuclear and lives up to his number 2 overall pick, and him and Devin Booker have this great synergy, I just don't see them being a threat in the West for a while. And it seems like they're only out to get... They don't have a first-round pick until like 2032, I believe. They don't even have really any seconds or something like that. They are dry and poor when it comes to picks. So I could see Booker wanting to come home, maybe. It'd be a really cool story. But he fits really... Like, he is everything the Pistons would need when we talk about secondary and primary scoring. Known commodity, 2-time All-NBA player, multiple-time All-Star, been in the NBA Finals, scored 40 points in the NBA Finals. Like, him and Cade alongside each other would be incredible. And I'm pretty sure they're working out together this summer. So I know there's some relationship there between the two. So, like, he would be an awesome get. And I know, like, but to get him, you're definitely throwing in, like, probably Ivy. You're probably throwing in Ron, and a boatload of picks. Plus, you need that probably Tobias contract. If it was to happen during the season, I think the Booker one will probably be more of an off-season thing. I think I don't think he loves this. It seems like he loves Phoenix right now, but he could just be saying all the right things and that kind of stuff to get that huge extension he just signed, and maybe he's going to get 3 months in and be like, oh wow, I'm not going anywhere. And I assume there'd be teams lining up for him, but that's my thoughts. Booker, definitely with the way the Suns are trending, he's there out to get a lot of picks back, to restock the cupboards there, get a couple of young guys in. You still have Jalen Green, you still have Malawatch, you got Mark Williams. Like, you get back a couple of young potential stars from the Pistons in Ivy and Holland, who could still very well be all-stars in this league. I'm not saying I'd be thrilled with this, but if we're talking about moves to take the Pistons that would solidify the Pistons going to the next level, and you get that known commodity star back, like Devin Booker's the name you have to mention. Now, I was going to say Zion Williamson here, but I crossed it out. And I thought, let's mix it up a bit. This guy isn't an all-star yet. He isn't a star, but I know a lot of Pistons fans love him. He's kind of like an NBA nerd's favorite type of player, especially on the wing. It's Trey Murphy III. He's 24 years old. He still has 3 years, $90 million remaining. And some of the honorable mentions we get to, the Pelicans are very prevalent because I don't know what they're trying to build. They just went and got two guys in the lottery, and Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fears. They have Zion Williamson coming back. They have DeJounte Murray coming back from an Achilles. They are all over the place. They seem to think they're going to be a play-in, playoff team at least this year, trading their first-round pick away in that famous deal. So to get Trey Murphy, you're banking on somehow the Pelicans' new front office not seeing the value in having a wing like that, and maybe I it'd be tough to get him, but I think the Pistons could put together a pretty enticing deal to go and get him. Maybe you throw in, once again, I think it's gonna be the similar players. It's always gonna be, I feel like Ron is gonna be the name that gets thrown in a lot because he's this wing that's, I think the Pistons probably have a SAR rank slightly ahead in terms of on the pecking order, but I think it's going to take either of one of Ron or Asar. Probably Troy Weaver being in charge there probably likes Asar more because it's one of his guys. But I think the Pistons would not want to part with him. So maybe it's going to take Ron. Maybe it's going to take Ivy and picks. You never know. But Trey Murphy, he's more of like that. When we're talking about, he fits the mold more of like when Denver traded for Aaron Gordon. He averaged 22 points this past season, I believe. He's a great shooter, 36%, but a volume 3-point shooter. 5 rebounds, 45% from the field. I know that Pelicans team sucked, but he went from 14 points the year before to 21 points. Obviously, Zion missed a lot of the season, so he got extra shots. But him, if you could keep him and Asar or him and Ron next to each other, that's an elite duo on the wing. I feel like I know Ron's still got a fair bit to prove, and so does Asar. But the shooting Trey gives, he can be a bit of a rebounder, really good defensively. I'm pretty sure he's around 6'9". I want to say. I'm just getting that up here. Yeah, 6'8", 6'9". He could be a real difference maker for this team, a true two-way player. You add him alongside Asar, if you can keep him, you've got one of the best perimeter defense in the NBA. Plus, he can shoot and score, and it'd be pretty exciting. I think he would be. He's probably the least realistic of these three, just because of. I think the Pelicans would value him a lot, but I wanted to put him on here. Because you never know what the Pelicans are going to do. They are all over the shot. So let me know your thoughts on those three players. Some honorable mentions I had, and I'll quickly fly through these guys. DeJounte Murray and Zion, like I said, the Pelicans, are they rebuilding? Are they going for it? They got Jordan Poole. They've got Jeremiah Fears. What's DeJounte Murray doing there? But he still has 4 years remaining. Zion, I don't want Zion at all near the Pistons, but he is a star. He's an all-star. I don't know if he's made All-NBA, but I know a lot of fans love him. So he's a guy that could be traded this season for sure. Giannis, I didn't want to go in on Giannis because I just cannot see him in a Pistons jersey. I just can't. I can't see it. I just don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Darius Garland's a weird one with the Cavs. If they have another flame out in the playoffs, I could see them going... maybe there was already rumors of him being on the trade block, I think last season or the offseason before. I could see them maybe going, we need to get more size in our backcourt defensively. But I just don't think Garland fits with the Pistons and Cade that much. LaMelo, like I said, I could see the Hornets, if they have another horrible season and he's injured, looking to pivot off him. I just don't see him fitting alongside Cade. Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. would have been in here if he didn't sign the extension. But it seems like the Grizzlies are all in on him and Ja for at least the next couple of years. So he kind of didn't fit the 12 to 18-month profile for me. And then Jaylen Brown was the last one. He maybe should have been here up a bit higher, but I just don't think a trade for him's coming until 2 trade deadlines. Until the season that Jason Tatum's back and the Celtics can get a good read on where they're at with him and Tatum still there. The thing I think, and this is where we're going to wrap it up, the thing I think a lot of people are sleeping on is... everyone keeps saying, "Oh well, the East is wide open. The East is wide open," but it won't be when Halliburton and Tatum are back. So you got to make your moves this summer, capitalize. And obviously that's true to a certain extent. But we're gonna have Jason Tatum coming back at the age of 28, 29 with a 29-year-old to 30-year-old Derek White and Jaylen Brown. They don't have much of a team. They don't have a center. And to be honest, same with the Pacers. I'm not saying the Celtics are still going to be good, and so will the Pacers when Halliburton gets back. But who knows how long Tatum and Halliburton are going to take to come back to full form. Fingers crossed they come back healthy. But the thing that I think people are forgetting is the NBA doesn't just stop. Things don't just stay the same. The Pistons, Cade Cunningham will be 25 in his season number 6 when those guys come back, Paolo Banchero is going to be like 24 in season number 5. Franz Wagner is going to be in season number 6. Like Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, like they're going to be in like seasons 5 and 7. Like the East, like I know it's not the strongest conference, but it's like all these young guys are going to continue to get better. And at some point, like I know Halliburton's young, but it's like they just lost their center. I just think people are very quickly to like act as if like, oh, once the Pacers and Celtics get healthy again, they're going to be, top 3 in the East and none of these other teams. It's just like, I don't buy into that. Like, I think they're going to be behind. They're still going to be great teams, but they've got to make moves. Like teams like the Pistons, they're going to have the Pistons and Magic and Cavs are going to have this whole season once again to gel, build chemistry, all their young players get better. Like, whereas the Pacers and Celtics kind of just like stalled. They're going to be waiting on the return of their stars who are extremely good players. But yeah, I say all this to say that I'm still a big advocate of the Pistons not making a major trade, at least until the trade deadline, if not next offseason. Let me know if you disagree, but those are the names I think they could make that big trade for. I'm sure you've heard all these names. Let me know which one's your favorite. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll be back tomorrow with some fresh Pistons content. But until always, go Pistons.